Wendigos are real. Yes, you heard me. The legend is true. But the story doesn't begin with a mythical creature. It begins with a curse, ancient and evil, forged from ice and blood, and carved deep into the tundra long before settlers ever drew their maps. In the howling void of North America's wilderness, where winter starves even the sun, there walks a hunger older than these pines. A creature born not of flesh, but from it. An evil spirit awakened by humanity's darkest sins, greed made flesh, gluttony given teeth. Originating from Algonquian folklore, the Wendigo comes from the forests of northern Canada and the US. In these cold, unforgiving landscapes, survival was an ever-present challenge. It was during the relentless cruelty of winter that the Wendigo was unleashed. Starvation, desperation, and isolation had driven some individuals mad, allowing the Wendigo to possess their minds and compel them to betray their own families in the most gruesome and horrific way imaginable. According to legend, when someone resorted to cannibalism, whether out of greed or desperation, they would be cursed and transformed into a Wendigo. This transformation was irreversible, condemning the individual to an existence marked only by an insatiable hunger for human flesh. The Wendigo is often depicted in two distinct forms. One is a large, monstrous demonic creature, typically featuring the head or skull of a stag with large antlers. This portrayal of the Wendigo has become widely popular in modern media. However, this representation seems to be a relatively recent interpretation. So why does this depiction of the Wendigo have antlers and features reminiscent of a stag? The answer isn't entirely clear. Traditional Algonquian folklore makes no mention of the Wendigo ever possessing such traits. This portrayal may stem from blending the Wendigo myth with the Navajo skinwalker, leading to a modern reinterpretation that deviates from its original form. The only animal associated with the Wendigo is the owl. Actually, Wendigo can be translated as owl or cannibal, depending on the dialect. The stag is deeply revered among Native American tribes, symbolizing fertility, renewal, strength, and a profound connection to nature. Although there's no evidence that the Wendigo was ever depicted as a stag by the natives, the connection still carries an unsettling weight. It might suggest that even the most sacred of creatures can be corrupted. The traditional description of the Wendigo is closer to that of a decaying corpse, with skin stretched tightly over its skeletal frame, almost translucent due to the rotting flesh. The color of its skin can range from pale white to a sickly gray. Its unnaturally long, thin fingers taper into sharp, jagged nails, ideal for tearing its victims apart, while its yellowed, ragged teeth are perfect for feeding its everlasting hunger. Yet, despite its frail, emaciated appearance, the Wendigo moves with unnatural speed, its strength far exceeding what its skeletal frame would ever suggest. With their enhanced senses and unmatched endurance, they are the perfect predator, capable of stalking their prey across any terrain or through any condition. As a Wendigo grows older, its power intensifies, spreading its corruption deeper through the forest it haunts like a disease. Some grow powerful enough to command wild animals, while the eldest can manipulate the weather, summoning a suffocating darkness that swallows the sun, ensuring that no soul is safe, no matter where they hide. But while the Wendigo's physical form is grotesque and dreadful, its true terror lies not in its appearance, but in its insidious power to unravel the human mind. In moments of unimaginable desperation and starvation, the legend becomes all too real. manifesting as a psychological disorder that has haunted the Algonquian people for centuries. Wendigo psychosis. Today, the curse of the Wendigo is acknowledged as a genuine psychological disorder known as Wendigo psychosis, a culture-bound syndrome identified by an uncontrollable craving for human flesh. Under the unyielding grip of winter's cruelty, isolation, and despair, even the strongest mind can begin to fracture. It begins with the hollow ache of hunger, a torment that grows with each passing day of starvation. In these frozen, forsaken moments, the desperate may resort to the unthinkable, feasting upon their own kin. As the psychosis deepens, the transformation unfolds both mentally and physically. The individual's body, once healthy, begins to wither. The flesh becoming thin and pale, stretched painfully over bones that jut out like icy ridges. Eyes that once sparkled with life and emotion turn hollow and haunted. This physical decay mirrors their inner corruption, the warmth of the human heart now replaced by ice. Mentally, the shift is even more shattering. The infected become obsessed with cannibalistic urges, losing their humanity trying to satisfy a hunger that can never be quenched. This isn't simply just a reaction to extreme conditions. It's the total unraveling of the human mind, a descent into complete madness. Perhaps the most infamous instance of this tragic fate is the case of Swift Runner, a Plains Cree trapper whose heinous crimes during the brutal winter of 1878 have become a dark chapter in Canadian history. Stranded in the frozen wilderness during a particularly harsh winter, he and his family struggled against starvation. His son had tragically passed away due to the brutal conditions, and while it is uncertain whether Swift Runner resorted to consuming the boy's flesh, the horrors that followed strongly suggest it. When spring came around and Swift Runner showed up all alone at a Cree encampment, people began to grow suspicious. Authorities were notified and soon located his abandoned camp, where a soul-crushing secret awaited them, a grotesque truth that still haunts Canada to this day. He had brutally butchered and eaten his wife and 5 other children. He would later confess to his actions, but professed that he was not in control, insisting that the Wendigo had possessed him, driving him to slaughter and devour his entire family. He was later tried and found guilty. On December 20th, 1879, Swift Runner was executed by hanging, becoming one of the earliest and most infamous cases of mass murder and cannibalism in Canada. Wendigo psychosis is a haunting reminder that, under extreme stress, the divide between humanity and monstrosity can dissolve, revealing that the most terrifying demons aren't lurking in the dark, but hiding deep within the recesses of the human mind itself.